Welcome everyone to the Ordinary Council meeting for April 2023. Pursuant to Council's Code of Meeting Practice Policy, 2 public forum sessions will be held during the Council meeting. 1 public forum session will be held following the acknowledgement of Broken Hill mining history to hear submissions from the public on matters listed for consideration at this meeting, to also hear submissions on general matters, and the other public forum session will be held prior to confidential matters and will consider submissions from the public on matters considered by the council at this meeting only. All councillors undertook an oath or affirmation at the beginning of their term of office and declared to undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of Broken Hill local government area in the city of Broken Hill, and that they will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in them under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of their ability and judgment. This meeting is being live streamed via YouTube and recorded and published online via Council's website. To those present in the meeting today, by participating in the public meeting, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. The Mayor and/or General Manager have the authority to pause the live stream if comments or debate are considered defamatory or otherwise inappropriate for publishing. Participants are advised that they may be subject to legal action if they engage in unlawful behaviour or commentary. We have an apology from Councillor Page. That's the only councillor on here. Mover, Councillor Gallagher, seconded. Councillor Chandler, all those in favour? Apologies accepted, carried unanimously. Neil, leave of absence. Prayer, Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Almighty God, we ask you to invoke your blessing upon this council, direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement and true welfare of the people of the council area, our state and Australia. Amen.
Amen. Councillor Gallagher, acknowledgement of country.
Yeah, I wish to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon the land we meet, the Winnicarli people, and pay our respect to those elders past, present and emerging.
Thank you. Councillor Jewett.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. We take time to reflect, remember and honour the over 800 miners that lost their lives and those that were crippled or maimed on the line of load. We thank the brave miners and their wives who were part of the 1919 to 1920 strike that lasted over 500 days and delivered a 35-hour working week. Mining is our past and future.
Thank you, Councillor Jewett. The first public forum session of 15 minutes duration will consider submissions from the public regarding matters listed for consideration at this meeting and also on general matters. The public have been advised through notices in the Barrier Truth and on Council's website to register by 4 p.m. today if they wish to address Council in the public forum session. Members of the public who have registered to address Council will be given preference, and then if the time permits, anyone else present in the public area may address councils. Speakers are allocated 2 minutes. There was nil registration, so if anyone from the public gallery, yep. No worries, Bob. And then you, Gigi. It's a little bit quiet, so.
Anyway.
No, that's good. Yeah, you might have to just put your mouth close to it.
Now I can't put it back in the cradle. Thank you for your time, Mr. Mayor. I've got 2 things that I would just like to ask council, please. Firstly, for the general public, I'd like to know if there's any further update on the fiasco with the Civic Centre, what progress is being made, and does council expect to break even, have some costs or whatever involved with it? A lot of people are talking about it and nobody really, and I hope the media can publish it, let the general public know what the status quo is at the present time, please.
Yeah, I'll answer that one for you first,
lastly,
if you like. Yeah.
when it is settled, are you going to be allowed to tell the general public what all the costs are, or is it going to be private?
So at this stage, it is still probably a couple of months away from being settled. as soon as it is settled, the community will be told everything there is to be told. As far as I'm concerned, that includes some of the confidential minutes should be made also public, so that we all know exactly what happened over that process.
Yeah,
Because once the only thing that's keeping it confidential at the moment is to do with legal requirements, and
yeah,
it was more or less to protect council's position. So
Yeah.
once that's done, it will be. At this stage, can't go into too much detail, but there will be a cost to the community, and the community will be made fully aware of what those costs are and how they're broken down.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. Because many people are wondering, what the situation is at the present time. The other thing that I'd like to bring up and ask you to explain again through the media to let the general public know what the situation is with the Taj Mahal up on the hill, which used to be a restaurant. Now, a lot of people are under the impression, and I mean, most of the population is under the impression that it's a great council cost and a big council, what we say, to be politely stuff up, when I'm led to believe that it's nothing to do with council at all, that it's government. And most of the population of Broken Hill don't realise this. They think it's a council cost.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Cools. Yes, so Crown Lands administered the restaurant up there. Council actually, all councillors passed unanimously, very disappointed with what was going on up there as far as supplying kitchen facilities to make sure that it is able to be used. There was other things that the council brought up, which is some of the things that were mentioned were things like al fresco areas. So if council had been involved, there would have been more public consultation. I have no doubt it would have ended up with a much better build than what we have at the moment. But rest assured, for you and the whole community, council is on the side of the community a little bit disappointed with the overall outfit up there.
Yeah, the state government is in charge of it and the state government owns it, is that correct?
Yeah,
And am I led to believe also that what the area they did build supposedly as a kitchen has got no facilities whatsoever, is that correct?
so there's a cool room, but it lacks most of the other facilities. Would you like to comment?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Kennedy. I spoke to them just after the open up there the other day, and they've now decided they are going to put a full kitchen in. They've just got to get some more government funding to be able to do it because they're out of funds at the moment. But they will put a full kitchen in before they, for any lessee that wants to take it over.
Yeah, so the government's going to,
Yeah,
Update the
all
kitchen.
cost is on them. It's nothing to do with,
Yeah.
we don't share a cent of it.
it's like asking a chef to cook up a 3-course meal with nothing in the fridge, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Thank you very much for your time and patience.
Thank you, Mr. Cools. Ms. Barb?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to refer to the Community Strategic Plan. Section 3, the Environmental Sustainability Statement. In Objective 3.1.1, it says that council will implement measures to reduce the city's carbon footprint and enhance the circular economy by educating and demonstrating the use of renewable resources. And in 3.1.2, educate the community on measures to avoid waste and reduce littering and waste to landfill. Now, I'm one of the goodies of this town. I just go to the tip and I sort out my bottles and my cardboard boxes and my plastic containers. But a lot of the people I talk to around the community say, oh, it's a waste of time because it all ends up in landfill anyway. And if that's the attitude of people I hang around with, I hate to think what it will be of people I don't hang around with. Inviting council to do perhaps is work a little bit more on educating the community. And we've got a newsletter happening these days, so how about we explore the journey that our glass bottles make after you leave them at the tip, or the journey that our cardboard mock boxes make, and so on, so that the community is aware, unless of course it goes to landfill, so that the community is aware that what they're doing is useful. It's not a waste of time. I'm conscious of the fact that we spend money on petrol to go all the way to the tip, but then again, it's a good thing for Lifeline that benefits from people going there as well. And my last point is about the supplementary agenda that we have today. Why that last page full of ink and a page that is wasted? To me, that is a waste of resources. It's very costly and it doesn't serve any purpose. That's just my second point. Thank you.
Yes, so with the tip, Lifeline does a great job. We were given figures of exactly how much landfill is reduced from. The general manager might want to give some of the figures if he does have them on hand. Otherwise, we'll have them next time. So Lifeline actually, not only do they reduce a lot of landfill from people that sort their rubbish and take it out there, they actually use the money that's raised, and they've raised tens of thousands of dollars, and they were actually able to put on a couple of extra counsellors simply from the money that was raised out at the tip shop. So not only does it reduce landfill, it's actually repurposed and reused. One of the things that they mention is one man's treasure, one man's rubbish is another man's treasure. And as was explained out there, a lot of that stuff that's taken out, there's not necessarily rubbish. People are just cleaning out sheds or cleaning out whatever. So a lot of the waste that is taken out there is repurposed. So people shouldn't think that it does just go to waste. As with glass bottles and that, they are all worth 10 cents for deposit, but they're also worth money on top of that when they're recycled. Cardboard boxes.
Yeah, that's
are
not my
always used.
question though.
Yeah.
I agree with all that. I have no problem with all that. I have a problem with people who don't recycle, who put everything in their rubbish bin, including canned bottles and stuff, because they think it's a waste of time to try and sort it out and take it to the tip. How do we convince those people in the community? And so that's why I thought if we have like a tracing of the journey in the newsletter, no, this is your glass of your bottle of wine. Where does it go once you put it down at the tip? What happens after that? Because most people will think that what happens after that is just landfill. And if that's not true, could we please show people what happens, what the process is, so that their bottle is actually not thrown into the general rubbish? Is that possible?
Yes. Could we provide a report to the appropriate committee on options for getting that word out? General Manager.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. If just quickly, part of the waste and resource recovery strategic plan we're going through at the moment, it will actually identify those community education forums where we can push around recycling and where your landfill is going and what it can be turned into. So as we do the strategic plan, that'll be provided for feedback for that future and further education to the community around how we operate the waste facility and in particular recycling. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, General Manager. Ms. Barb.
And about the agenda?
I think that's just a process. I don't know if it'll change. And what's the process?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and yeah, appreciate the comments, Ms. Barb. And we take that on notice in regards to what we can do with the printed agenda. As you already notice, as you look around the chamber now, we've reduced the number of printed copies of the agenda to basically nil, and we've included the tablets. around the chambers now as an alternate use to make it electronic. So eventually we will ensure that this is all electronic, but it is a dividing page so that the general public know that there was no more of that supplementary agenda and take on notice. The use of ink on that last page was a full page. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Move to minutes for confirmation. Do we have a mover for the minutes?
We'll move that way.
Moved, councillor Hickey, seconded. Who was that? Councillor Gallagher. Any comments on that? Councillor Gallagher, any other councillors? No, all those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Disclosures of interest. Do any councillors have a disclosure of interest? No, I have a disclosure of interest in the confidential item number 3. The person involved is a friend of mine. It's a non-pecuniary interest, and I'll leave the room. I'll move the mayoral minute. That correspondence be sent to Mark Coulton MP and the appropriate minister outlining the concerns that Broken Hill City Council and the community have about Southern Cross Austereo's recent decision to cease Spencer Golf nightly news and requests that the government introduce licence conditions that require regional broadcasters to produce regional content. The correspondence is sent to Spencer Golf mayors supporting their action to reinstate local news service and endorse the correspondence received from them. That correspondence be sent to Southern Cross Austereo outlining our objections and concerns at the lack of public consultation before ceasing the local news bulletin. We have a seconder for that. Councillor Turley. The reason I moved this is, as I'm sure all councillors are concerned, as I'm sure all members of the community were concerned or are concerned. There was very little notice given to the community before that news bulletin was ceased. The employee actually was given no notice and had his last day without knowing that he no longer was employed as a journalist for Spencer Golf News. So we really need to make sure that we continue to have a service. TV is different to radio and the newspaper. We're lucky we've still got 2 mediums here, but it would be much nicer to have the third one. So I think we need to, as we have in the past, for radios to continue to have local news content, we need to make sure we have a TV. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Turley.
Mr. Mayor, I absolutely support you in this mayoral minute, and I think all of us were shocked to hear this announcement. And for all of it, apart from ensuring our community are informed in every way, in a different type of visual manner that they are informed, it really is reflective of the history of our community. And to lose that and to lose those archives is a great loss to our community. And one of the parts that really, I was challenged by, I would say annoyed the most, but I'll say the words challenged by, was the fact that nobody was consulted. But the reality is that companies don't mind taking money from our businesses to ensure they're on air for other reasons, but the news is a vital source of information giving, and there was no consideration for that. So absolutely support this, and particularly the concept of writing to other mayors in the Spencer Golf.
Any other speakers? Councillor Boland? Then you, Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I read an article in the Advertiser a couple of days ago that the mayors of Spencer Golf have certainly wrote to the appropriate people, and also believe we need to go back to the days when you had to provide X amount of local content. If you want a local regional license and you're taking advertising dollars from those regional businesses, it should be a condition of your broadcast license that you provide a certain percentage or a certain minute hours of local content per week.
For sure. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also absolutely support this motion. I'm just wondering whether it would be too late to send a late motion to the National General Assembly. I mean, this is an issue that probably concerns all regional areas, particularly they're probably all at risk of losing that.
Yeah,
And I
it's-
don't know if we can do it, but I know they
It's
they
not too
normally,
late. Not
you know,
late, too late,
yeah,
Councillor
yes,
Brown, if you'd like
yes.
to move it as addendum to this.
yes, if you're willing to
Yes,
accept
I'll
that.
accept that.
Yes, and I just have a question. Your motion, I think, mentioned you haven't had any correspondence from from those relevant mayors, have you? About
They
this?
just, so someone just forwarded their letter
Right.
to the minister and to the paper,
Oh, right,
Yeah,
okay,
so
so
they
we
forwarded it.
haven't
No.
received anything.
not
you know.
directly from.
Yeah, no, I think it's good to have to open up some correspondence with them so that they know as well that we're definitely on side. If I don't know whether they're going to it might be an idea to let them know that if we do put a late motion in, if any of them are going as well, they might like to support it.
Worries. Thank you, Councillor Brown. Councillor Turley.
So I should just add another one, if you would consider including that you, given councillor Boland's comments about proportions of local news, if we also write to the Minister for Communications, Michelle Rowlands.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's that'd be the appropriate minister, I think, Councillor Turley. So I'll just replace that to what was the minister's name? Ministers for Communications.
Yeah, Michelle Rowlands.
Michelle Rowlands. You just found the appropriate minister to that. Any other comments? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We move on to notices of motion, which are nil, but Councillor Brown would like to just move a motion of urgency to be dealt with later on in the thing. You notice the motion, Councillor Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, it's just a very simple motion. I'm planning to put in nomination to be on the executive of Region 4 of the Murray-Darling Association, and they're being particular about the constitutional rules this year. So I just need a motion to say that council is supporting my nomination. That's all.
No worries. We have a mover for a notice of urgency. Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Turley. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll deal with it as the last item, Councillor Brown. Rescission motions nil, reports from delegates. I think there's one in there, but it's at the end. Yep, so do you want to deal with it at where it is, or do you want to deal with it? You can deal with it now if you want to. That's when it. All right, no worries. So one later on in the business paper. Item number 14, item number 1 is the Broken Hill Council report, the draft cemetery management policy. Do we have a mover for that?
Move that way.
Councillor Boland, seconded Councillor Allgate. Councillor Boland, you'd like to speak to that?
I'll leave it brief. It's deals with something that we're all got to face at one stage or another, and updating the policy is always needed.
You want it to be the best it can when you use it.
Yeah, well, I want it looking tip top for my final journey.
Councillor Turley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wondered, I mean, I think following councillor Boland's comments about being tip top and ready for anyone going there, the reality is that it's a big challenge for our staff to maintain that site. And I wondered if there is any emerging new weed management products that our council staff could use. I mean, if anybody's been out there, it's just, I mean, it's important we have rain, but it's such a challenge for our staff and for our volunteers to actually manage. And the other day we went out to visit a family grave. We had to go home and get a shovel to clear the path to get in there. So I think, we really need to look at, of course, all these parts are important, but I think for the general manager in particular, looking at those emerging products that will actually prevent the weeds from growing through.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Turley. Councillor Gallagher, would you like to make comment as you've been out there with the tidy towns the last few? Any plans that way?
I think it'd be good if we could get some products to assist in the eradication of the weeds, but as we know, the most of the weeds are around the actual plot itself. The paths are reasonably done in good order. I know that we should. I know there is products out there. And I do know that corrective services have assisted council in the past of eradicating the weeds by spraying it. But as Councillor Turley said, it has been raining and weeds do grow. But the situation is we must try to do it. And I totally agree. If we get something, the Tidy Townsend and Councillor Brown and Councillor Turley are part of that have assisted us in the eradication of some weeds out there. We're making marked progress, but we have to try to get those weeds down. And I would totally agree.
General Manager.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yes, certainly both council staff and correction services spray it on a regular basis for that long-term prevention. We will look into if there is any new technologies in regards to preventing weeds from growing from just spraying the ground completely. But that being said, I have to acknowledge the great work that Tidy Towns and the volunteers have done in regards to cleaning it up. And we're certainly in that process at the moment with employing contractors to assist in the cleanup to get it back to where we were a few years ago prior to the extensive rainfall that we have had. But in addition, we are also looking at forming another volunteer group and working with those volunteers on a longer term basis, on a cycling basis, that we can continue that removal of the weeds once they are sprayed. But as of about a month ago, all the weeds have been sprayed, and you'll notice that they are all dead now. So now it's just a process of obviously going through and removing them. But the quantum of the size out there is obviously a lot for our council resources. So any assistance we can get with the general public and the volunteers, we'll be trying to sort out. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, General Manager. Great job. Any other comments? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Health and Building Committee, item number 1 is the minutes of the Friends and Flora of the Barrier Ranges. We have a mover for that. Councillor Brown, seconded. Councillor Jewett. Councillor Brown, you'd like to speak to that?
It's a matter of business as usual, really. Mr. Mayor, it's a very keen committee, and I'll have to commend Mr. Ford for his enthusiastic management of the committee. He's always gets a good turn up for the working bees there, and they're at the moment we're working on the path up from the John Simons flora and fauna, the reserve
area
there, that part there.
Any other comments, Councillor Jewett? No. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We move to policy in general. Item number 1 is a review of council's policy register.
Move the recommendation.
Councillor Allgate moves, seconded. Councillor Boland, any comments?
So that it's all written in the recommendations. We've got a lot of old obsolete policies that no longer really apply, and it's really set up for the general manager and his staff to rectify the currency of all of the policies and just disregard those or delete those that are no longer valid.
For sure. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2 is the adoption of the revised Broken Hill film policy. We have a mover for that.
Move that way.
Councillor Boland, seconded. Councillor Chandler. Councillor Boland, speak to that.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. This is an important policy. Film production around Broken Hill is very important, and it's a good stimulation of the economy. Certainly, I have seen the fine doctors recently going around town, and they're paying good money to people to film in places, but there is a disruption to the community, and there's a disruption to our daily life, and this policy certainly helps to make sure that The community's getting benefit out of the exposure and the economic through the businesses, and they're looking after us as well, making sure they're all good.
For sure. Any other comments? No, all those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Move on to item number 3, a draft sponsorship policy of public exhibition. We have a move for that.
Move that way.
Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Allgate, you speak to that.
Recommendation on the report, Mayor Kennedy.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Councillor Gallagher, you speak to that? No. All those in, any other councillors? No. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 4 is the investment report for March. Do we have a move for that?
Move that way.
Councillor Boland, seconded.
Seconded.
Councillor Allgate, Councillor Boland, you wish to speak to that?
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. It looks all good. And certainly I think we're all still getting the benefit from that workshop held a month or so ago. And that was a great thing to allow councillors to read these reports and understand exactly where the ratepayers' money is kept.
Yes, and thank you for the presentation. Just recently, it really did help a bit in understanding why you hold on to some of the investments. Any other comments? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 5 is nomination for appointment of the community representative of 345 Community Committee. We have a mover for that. Councillor Gallagher,
Move that way.
seconded. Councillor Allgate, Councillor Gallagher, you'd like to speak to that?
I just welcome Brian aboard, and I'll make sure he's informed that he's now a committee member.
I did notice that there's a few getting on your committee now, so well done. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 6 is minutes of the Audit and Risk Improvement Committee meeting held in March. Do we have a mover for that?
Move that report.
Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Hickey. Councillor Allgate, you speak to that?
Not really, Mayor Kennedy, except to say that it's that meeting is a fairly lengthy meeting. It covers a lot of areas in terms of audit risk and improvements that the council need to make to have the operation become secure. And in this day and age, we all know cyber security is something that is almost impossible to stop. But it's all in the report, and the report's a comprehensive one, and not easy reading, but worthwhile.
Councillor Hickey.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Kennedy. Yeah, it's quite an extensive meeting, that one, as Councillor Allgate said. And there is a lot to cover, but I think we're on the right track with everything. The auditors seem to be external auditors seem to be pretty happy with us also.
Good one. No other comments? No, all those, Councillor Boland?
I just want to make a quick comment on Councillor Allgate with the computer stuff and the hackers and all that kind of stuff. And I think everybody involved in the audit and risk and council staff need to be congratulated for rolling out that stress test of council's IT infrastructure. There's lots of organisations in the news through hacking and etc. And I think the community can be confident that council certainly stress tested the IT infrastructure and the best possible procedures are in place.
Yeah, look, a lot of people wouldn't know the importance of the privacy as far as council records go, but a lot of those records actually have banking details and that sort of thing on it. So it's really important. I know a lot of people just think, oh, who cares if something goes missing from council? What would they know? But they're the important things, are your banking details and other private information that can be used to commit fraud against people. So well done. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 7, minutes of the Broken Hill Heritage Committee meeting. We have a mover for that.
Move that way.
Moved Councillor Turley, seconded Councillor Brown. Councillor Turley, you'd like to speak to that?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, these are actually 2 lots of minutes for the council to consider. Couple of areas that they may be interested in. It's our 140th anniversary this year. We've made recommendations to council about celebrations. But can I also say with that, can I congratulate West Darling Arts on their successful laneway event.
Mm.
2,000 people attended that in one night. So that was an amazing event, and to thank all our staff involved with our Heritage Festival as well. Certainly again.
Would you like to move that as a number 3? I know it's got nothing to do with
Um,
minutes, but it's still, you can still
Yeah,
put it there
happy
if
to
you'd like
move
it.
our congratulations to West Darling Arts and for their Glamfest Festival, and hope that council could work with them in for a future festival. And next item would be congratulate our council staff on their work for the 2023 Heritage Festival. I know a lot of people were concerned, Mr. Mayor, that we didn't have a lighting up of the building, and I think that would be asked of if we're going to be able to bring that back next year. And as it was originally intended to rotate it from different buildings. So that would probably be a question for business questions on notice.
Yep, no worries. Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Further business, item number 1 is alteration to the Works Committee meeting date. Do we have a move of that? Moved councillor Hickey, seconded councillor Gallagher. Councillor Hickey, you speak to that?
Yeah, it's just, we've got on the following night, there's a dinner.
Yep.
So we need to bring it forward just by one day. I don't think.
No worries. Sounds good. Any other speakers? No. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2 is Deputy Mayor attendance at the official opening of the new Mildura Health Cancer
Move that way.
Centre.
Move that way.
Seconded. Councillor Hickey. Councillor, there's just, could you turn off your microphone? Thanks, Councillor Turley. Yeah, you should be right. Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Kennedy, and thanks for the opportunity to go down to that opening. It's a great facility. It's a whole new radiotherapy clinic down there, a whole new thousands of dollars, millions of dollars worth of radiotherapy equipment, which a statistic that came out there by the oncologist was that for every 100 kilometres you are away from these treatment centres, you lose 10% of people don't go. So we got Adelaide at the moment, which is 600 kilometres. So that's 60% of people that don't bother to take up the opportunity to have that done. And eventually, you will pass away, usually, if you don't have cancer treated. So that's a huge statistic, and people just don't have the dollars or the ability to be able to get away for, 6 weeks at a time to do that. At least now with Mildura, it's only at 300 kilometres. They are going to come back to us at some stage to Broken Hill and surrounding areas of Victoria and New South Wales that will use those facilities to try and get some accommodation, at least 10 units for starters. And so we're going to need state and federal governments to help out with those, but that's on the line to come. I myself have used it in both Mildura and Adelaide on numerous occasions, and to have these extra facilities is just fantastic. Thank you.
Yes, look, it really is. And if you would like to move dot point number 3 to right and congratulate them on a great initiative or something to that.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yep. Thank you.
Any other speakers? No. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 3 is minutes of the Gateway Signage Advisory Committee project. Do we have a mover for that?
Move
Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Hickey. You'd like to speak to that, Councillor Allgate?
Only to comment that progress is being made. The order has been sent out to Fabtech, for the boiler making and the insulation work. And I think everything's going according to plan. It's taken a little bit of time, but it'll soon appear out there. And I think the bulk of the townspeople, the community, will be very happy with the change.
Without a doubt. Councillor Hickey, you'd like to speak to that?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Kennedy. I apologise for not being able to chair that meeting, the last meeting. I was way up that, but from reading this, it's all on track. And speaking to Fabtech, and they're all happy with what's going on. So yeah, good.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I think it'll be an amazing project that'll be at least equal to the signs in Tippaborough and the signs at Silverton. So I think we'll be one of the cities that have an iconic signage, and hopefully that signage continues to be laid out across all routes into the city. Any other speakers? No. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Oops, sorry. Item number 4 is the minutes of local traffic committee. Councillor Brown, you happy to move that? Councillor Brown, seconded. Councillor Allgate, Councillor Brown, you'd like to speak to that?
I think it's all pretty clear there. Mr. Mayor, it's quite the whole, history of each of these items is there in those in the document. And that's,
Yeah.
I think the recommendation is quite pretty clear.
Yeah, sounds good. And Councillor Allgate?
I'd just like to comment in the sense that I've raised the concerns of certain persons in the town that have their children going to Burkwood School about children crossing Gypsum Street. And it's been a long way in coming to the fore, but I see in the minutes now that they've at least had a traffic count out there. But apparently the traffic count was perhaps exaggerated because of works being done elsewhere. I hope the traffic count that they say that they're going to do is done before too much longer, because if you go out there at any time from about particularly from about 2:55 onwards, there's a constant stream of children that run across that road without any protection whatsoever. And it really is, I share the concerns that some of the parents have.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Would you like to comment, Councillor Brown, or?
The department, one of the Transport for New South Wales representatives on the committees, the person who's actually responsible for sort of dealing with school education matters is very, I have said before, she's very thorough and conscientious in her attitude to these matters, and she's the one who's principally been dealing with the school, through the principal and so on, and doing the counts and observations. So it's well and truly under active consideration still. There have been some problems with getting the data out from the traffic counters. I'm sure Mr. Howard would may be able to give you some more details about that, but I think that is in process of being considered by the committee. It's not only there are a number of traffic counters around the city in response to issues mainly about excessive speed, and the committee's looking at those.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Through the general manager, without putting Mr. Howard under any pressure, if you'd like to comment.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, so the traffic count that was completed at the Burkwood School was at a time that Galena Mercury and Tout road reconstruction was being completed. So it did increase the numbers to the highest count that around schools that they have seen. So we are looking at doing another count once school goes back, just to evaluate that data. As Councillor Brown did speak, our member from Transport for New South Wales, quite thorough and is liaising with the principal in Burkwood School quite regularly, as well as and working with the school about educating parents and children as well when they're leaving the school. So we're trying to assist with working both ways between what council and the traffic committee can do with the area, as well as what the school can do with education. Thank you.
I'll just make a comment,
Yeah.
Mayor Kennedy. I'm
Thank
not being
you, Mr.
critical
Howard.
of the traffic committee at all on it, and I really have to thank Councillor Brown for raising the issue that I've raised on a few occasions. Being on the traffic committee, she has done what would normally be expected. Just on the traffic count, I think one of the important factors is the number of children going across the road. Equally as important as the number of traffic. You know, you only need one car, and it's just it's a crossing it was not a crossing. That's the problem, and close to the corner, people coming around the corner, and not everybody observes the speed limit, and it's a real issue, and the people that raised it with me almost 2.5 years ago are still concerned about it.
Thank you. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Move on to item number 5. The action list, councillor Gallagher.
Yes, move that way.
Lots of green.
Heaps of green, like the American greenbacks. Good to see that we're actually achieving some fairly good work. Need to pick up a few areas, but it's looking very good.
Good. Seconded, councillor Jewett. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Questions taken on notice from previous meeting were nil. Questions for the next meeting arising from items on this agenda, then we'll deal with councillor Turley, councillor Turley.
I had a couple, Mr. Mayor. One was around that lighting up of the building for the Heritage Festival. If we could have an update of that for 2024. The other one was the status of the museum advisor. Has the role changed? Is it the same? What's actually happening with that position? And my last one was around electric vehicle recharger at Yunta. I've had quite a few people express concerns about the fact that there is no recharger at Yunta, but as life in the universe changed, more people are buying.
Would you like to just move that one as an urgent matter? Because I was actually going to bring that up as well.
Yep, I'll move it
So
as
move that we write to the Premier or the South Australian Government to look at installing a EV charger at Yunta or
Yep,
something along
happy to
those
move
lines.
that way.
Could we have a motion? We won't deal with that now, but we'll have a motion that it be dealt with as matter of urgency. Councillor Turley,
Yes, I'll move the motion that we deal with as matter of urgency.
councillor seconder, councillor Brown, all those in favour? Carried unanimously. So we'll move to those items once we've finished with the questions. Any other questions? Councillor Brown?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there's been a bit of discussion lately over the report from Rex about the changes to their regular schedule, but I've just got a general question about the passenger numbers. I'm not sure, I've had a look on the hub to see whether those passenger numbers are still reported. We used to get them regularly as in the business paper, but I'm just not sure if they're there somewhere.
General Manager, we probably answer a couple of these now. The Rex passengers?
Yep.
Passengers? Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The Rex and Qantas numbers should be part of the infrastructure, got the names over it, but the infrastructure report that is on the hub, activity report. So both Rex and Qantas are there. Qantas wasn't there for a little while, but we've updated that about 2 months ago. So all Qantas numbers are there, and Rex is still provided monthly as well. It is in a new format. That's a bit easier to see rather than it being as detailed as it was previously, along with the graphs. Councillor Turley, the lighting up of the buildings for Heritage Festival, we can put it as a part of the budget review for next year. It was originally taken out of this year because the library was supposed to be under construction. There wasn't supposed to be any access to the town hall facade, as well as the budgetary constraints around that lighting, obviously costing around $65,000 to $70,000 for that long weekend. The status for the position of the museum advisor, that's unchanged. That hasn't changed. Kate Gahan is still council's museum advisor, and Miss Newman is in the process of organising a briefing for the museum advisor to brief council on what progress she has made to date, but more specifically, the crisis that council and the city faces in regards to our collections and archives with our aging community and lack of storage within the city. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks. Thank you, General Manager. Any other councillors? Councillor Boland?
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I've had several concerned community members and especially business operators along the Argent Street block between I think it's Chloride and Sulphide, with syringes being found at the back of their properties in car parks. One business over the Easter long weekend found 50 syringes in their car park. And I certainly have found 70 odd in my car park area over a week. And they seem to be coming from the health service on the corner of Crystal and I think Sulphide Street. There's no support for the people that have these addictions. They just grab their pack and leave, and it's a dark area. They can go 24 hours a day. They can get their syringes and leave with no help, no mental health support. They're just disposing of these syringes wherever. And there was a concerned community member on social media today with a syringe found in a toilet at a park. So I think it's an urgent item that council, we need to try and deal with as a council and get everybody in the room together, try and work out a solution before someone gets seriously injured from a needle.
Would you like to also move a motion of urgency to write to New South Wales Health, local health, about our concerns and to organise a meeting?
I'll move that way, yes.
So just move a motion of urgency as well.
Yes, I'll move a motion of urgency.
Councillor Hickey seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Any other questions? No, so we'll go through the urgent items. Number one is a motion to nominate Councillor Brown to the. Do you want to read out what the motion would be, Councillor Brown?
I haven't really thought it through. I really just need.
Just for council to endorse your position to the.
Yes, that council endorses my nomination as an executive member of Murray, the MDA Region 4.
Yep. Could we have a council other than Councillor Brown move
Oh,
it?
yes.
Councillor Turley, seconded Councillor Allgate. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. The second one was the EV electrical vehicle. Councillor Turley, you'd like to move that?
Happy to move that way, Mr. Mayor.
Seconder. Councillor Chandler, Councillor Turley, you'd like to speak to that?
Mr. Mayor, I think if people have been hearing concerns from the general public and from visitors about the lack of recharging stations between Broken Hill and Adelaide, and certainly as we see this big push from the federal government wanting to increase electrical vehicles, we need to make sure we support and make sure people are safe travelling between our communities. So if we write to the Premier and the South Australian government and ask if they could install an electric recharging station at Yunta as a matter of urgency.
Thank you, Councillor Turley. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The last one was Councillor Boland. You'd like to move that we write to local health district about syringes and to organise a meeting?
Yes, I'll move that way.
Seconded Councillor Hickey. You'd like to speak to that, Councillor Boland?
I think I brought up most of the issue on questions on notice. It's a massive concern. It's dark. There's very little lighting. There's no mental health support for these people. They're just throwing their syringes wherever. And it's only a matter of time before a member of the community or a child gets pricked by one of these needles. And when you're getting numbers above 100 in a 1 block radius, there's an issue there. And I think New South Wales Health needs to work with the council to come up with a solution and not just dump these poor people in basically a dark laneway late at night when they need mental health and they need a lot of help. It's just unfair for the community and it's unfair for the poor person that's got the addiction.
Councillor Hickey.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Kennedy. My building actually backs onto that lane and there's nothing to get, 20 or 30 syringes a day. And I've reported, I've been around the health service on probably 20 occasions. They say, go to the police. There's nothing they can do. I said, well, you put the syringe base there. So, you know, somebody's got to be responsible. Over at the old credit union, there's a 2-story building there with a stairwell, and we had that cleaned out a little while back, and there would have been 200 or 300 syringes in that stairwell, and just absolutely shocking. It's horrible. So I've put lights on all night. I don't know whether that's a deterrent or whether it's a help for them to see what they're doing. I still can't work out which is the best way to go with that. But you know, something's got to happen. Something's got to be done.
Look, it's not just in that laneway. It's also, I know the local toilets is also being used as an injection room. So I don't think giving out needles in the main area of the city is the place to be giving out needles for use. Councillor Orgate.
I just mentioned, we had a briefing in recent days about the use of the town square, and the council's going to endeavour to open up the town square and promote it. And you might recall I mentioned the fact, my concerns about the needles that are, the syringes that are around, particularly in the lane behind the Musicians Club, as Councillor Boland has talked about. So, I mean, you're not going to eradicate the problem, but the problem is bad in an area where it shouldn't be. We've got to, if those dispensers weren't there on the corner of Crystal Lane and Sulphide, if the dispenser wasn't there and was in a more appropriate place, don't ask me where the more appropriate place is, but we need to get it out of the central CBD as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We move to public forum session. The second public forum session is 15 minutes. We consider submissions on what's been spoken about at this council meeting. Do we have any Councillor Cools? You've been here so long. Mr. Cools? Mr. Bevan?
Good evening, councillors. Peter Bevan here. I've got 2 or 3 things to mention. First of all, we have a new government in New South Wales, and our member who's been elected here, being Roy Butler, could I make sure that could you make sure that the minutes of the traffic committee go to Roy, please? I know all things are up in the air once there's been an election, so that needs doing.
Thank you.
The other thing is the BHP chimney. Now, when we had a mayor who was very deeply into tourism, Mary said to him one day, it's my wife Mary here, said to him one day, do you take your tourists in to see the old BHP chimney? To which our mayor, Winston, said, what BHP chimney? Anyway, it was pointed out to him, and the next thing we know, we had a tarred road going in there, basic tarred road, amazingly enough. And the thing is now, though, although we've got a marvellous historic relic there, we don't actually have any signage for people to find their way in there. We have something nailed up on a tree with a couple of 4-inch nails, but I don't think that's quite good enough.
So you'll be very happy to hear, Peter, that council's new wayfinding will have all that sort of stuff in it. When can we expect that to start rolling out? It's been manufactured now, so it'll be really extensive signage, but there'll be information on those signage, QR codes where you can look at them and get further information. So that will address a lot of the issues where people they'll more or less, tourists and other people will be able to know as much as we know when they go around and see the signs.
Yeah, no, that's good. The fullness of time, I think you said, and yes. The other thing that I would bring up, just past Burkeward School, there's a dead tree. It's got no limbs on it anymore. It's just a dead tree. It leans out over the major east-west highway that goes through Broken Hill. And if it happened to fall over, it could land on a car or interrupt the road. So have a bit of a look at that. It leans out over the road like that.
For sure, and I will just go on a little bit further, and the general manager, if he likes, can also come in and say a few words. Our council is going to do a lot of focus on removing dead trees all over the city and on the outskirts. So that'll be sort of happening from the
This,
next
this
few
one's got a lot
months.
more potential than a lot of the others.
Oh, no, so we'll
10
take that
forward.
on as a
Yep,
as more important.
bit more
but
important, yep.
Council all around
And-
town will start to concentrate on more dead trees.
And I know charging stations are a very broad term. But I do hope it's got quite a few outlets, not just one.
I would say probably have one.
That's what I think.
You'll wait for 3 or 4 hours between.
We might have one, and that's a bit of a problem. Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor.
So I
And
hope
councillors.
they have more than one, Mr. Bevan.
Okay.
Mr. Cools,
It's a coincidence that Peter just spoke about that sign going to the BHP chimney. I've had many tourists ask me where it is. Where is it, should I say?
I think a lot of
I
locals
was
don't
going
know
to bring
where
it
it
up,
is
but Peter
either.
brought it up instead. The other thing that I would like to comment on is several years ago, I had the privilege of being on talking terms with the media that used to report at council meetings. And the first item on your agenda tonight was about the television not broadcasting news anymore. And I can assure you, they used to get most frustrated about the amountage of news footage they'd send down that never ever got used.
Yeah.
You said about how much local content had to be on it. And I can assure you that the media of the past used to get most frustrated on that subject. It went down, never got used. So how can you have local content if it doesn't get used?
Well, at least we used to have 2. Now we don't have
Oh,
any.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I missed that.
They always have 2 items, now it's 0.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The footage they sent down never got used anyway.
That is it for the public gallery. No other speakers? No. We move into confidential matters. There's only 3 matters, so if people want to stay around, it shouldn't be too long. We have a motion to go into closed session.
Move that way.
Move councillor Allgate, seconded councillor Gallagher. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. They hung around, Simon. We're back on live, are we? Yep. Thank you, everyone who stayed for the end, to come back in for the end of the meeting. Could we just, general managers, read out what was passed in closed session?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Broken Hill City Council Report number 64/23 dated April 11th, 2023, P22/12 request for tender, Broken Hill Library and Archives Project. Council resolved one, that Broken Hill City Council Report number 64/23 dated April 11, 2023 be received. Two, the council note that due to the shortfall in available funding, despite all efforts being taken with value engineering and project staging, that the current library and archives design and tender package cannot be completed. Three, that in accordance with section 55(3)(I) of the New South Wales Local Government Act 1993 and New South Wales Local Government General Regulations 2021, Division 4, Section 178(3)(E), council approves to enter into direct negotiations due to extenuating circumstances, being remoteness and the unavailability of competitive tenderers, as well as previous knowledge, information, and expertise surrounding the project, with the preferred tenderers being Neeson Murcutt and Neil Architects Proprietary Limited for design and North Construction Building Proprietary Limited for construction. Four, the council enter into a design and construct contract with North Building and Construction Proprietary Limited and Neeson Murcutt plus Neil Architects Proprietary Limited to redesign and construct a library and archives building for an all-inclusive budget of $14,500,000 excluding GST, whilst adhering to specific funding guidelines and the scope requirements for a fit-for-purpose library and archives to service the Broken Hill City. And five, that the general manager and staff be thanked for the work in negotiating and achieving an outcome to construct a new library and archive. Broken Hill City Council Report number 65/23 dated February 22, 2023, P22/11 request for tender for the purchase of Jetpatcher. Council resolved one, that Broken Hill City Council Report number 65/23 dated February 22, 2023 be received. Two, the council purchased the plant package tendered by Ozroad for the total price of $547,524.50, including GST. And three, Broken Hill City Council Report number 66/23 dated March 6, 2023, cemetery operations, public exhibition of council's intention to grant a waiver of interment right fee for a vacant grave at the Broken Hill Cemetery. Council resolved one, the Broken Hill City Council Report number 66/23 dated March 6, 2023 be received. Two, the council notes that public exhibition, as per section 356 of the Local Government Act 1993, of council's intention to grant a waiver of the interment right of $833, including GST, to Mr. Stephen Dewsbury in respect of the ownership of a vacant grave located at the Broken Hill Cemetery in Presbyterial D, row 11, grave 13, was conducted from 8th of March 2023 to 6th of April 2023, seeking submissions from any person having evidence of ownership of the subject grave or having an objection to the waiver of the interment right fee. Three, the council notes that nil submissions were received during the public exhibition period. And four, the council grants a waiver of the interment right fee of $833, including GST, to Mr. Stephen Dewsbury and undertakes all processes to thereby grant ownership of the vacant grave in Presbyterial D, row 11, grave 13, to Mr. Stephen Dewsbury. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, General Manager. That brings the council meeting to a close, and thank you all for your attendance.